Hey everybody, I'm Everton Zaquini, and today I'm gonna talk about something that a lot of guitar students get confused, which is the modes. It's a little bit of introduction and a little bit for you to understand what you need to do to get a modal sound. So get your guitar and come practice with me. Modes are really nice to use on music if you're composing or improvising, creating solos, or if you wanna get a little bit more a different flavor. But I've seen a lot of guitar students get confused with the modes, and usually the main mistake that happens about the modes is that students get the patterns of the scale and they think that that's just the mode. For example, if you are playing the C major scale, so you have the second degree, the Dorian mode, which is not wrong, but are missing one piece of the puzzle here. It's really important that we think about the harmony. So it's common some people teach the modes this way as well, and that's right, one more time, that you have 7 modes from the major scale, so every degree of the scale you have a mode, but if you don't have the chord and the harmony behind it, you won't get the sound and the flavor of the mode that you want. For example, if you are in C major, the second degree is D minor, so if you start the scale from D, this is Dorian. And it's right, however, it depends on the harmony. This is the main thing. So that's why usually I really like to talk about and explain things about the harmony, because the harmony is the guide for the scales. If you get the scale, especially major scale, if you just play the scale, it's just a bunch of notes, and depending on the chord that you use, then you change the feeling of the scale. So all that notes, without the chords, without harmony, it can be anything, okay? So the main thing that you need to think about now, when you start to think about modes, forget about all the box that you have from the patterns of the scale. Instead, you think everyone as a mode and think everything as one scale. What matters in this case is the chords, harmony. That's what makes you get the sound and the flavor of the mode that you want. So let's get some examples for you to understand a bit more how the chords will influence your notes. One example, let's get C major. C major chord here, and if I play 3 notes, the C, the D, and the E. These 3 notes over C major, you have a sound. So let's just hear how it sounds with the C major chord. Alright, so we have these 3 notes over C major chord. Now, if I get these 3 notes again and play over an A minor chord, the feeling for these notes will be different because we're playing different chords, so the mood you change. So here we start to understand a little bit more about how the modes work, because we need the chord we have the sound that we want from the modes. So when I play these 3 notes, the C, D, E, ba-da-da, over this chord, ba-da-da-da, this is gonna be sounding happy. Ba-da-da, right? Now, if I change the chord and I play the same notes, it's gonna change the mood and it's gonna sound sad, for example, if I play on A minor. Let's hear, and then you can start to feel the difference between the mood. Same notes, just different chord, different mood. So here, come back to the video and listen to the C again and then A minor, then you start to get the feeling, the difference. Then I'm playing the same notes, the C, D, and E, and then when I play over different chord, just change the mood. So the chords, harmony is the main part that you need to get the sound of the modes. And now I will show you how it starts to work a little bit. So this video is just an introduction for you to start think a little bit more differently about the modes that you can understand, the main things that you need to know about the modes for you to get the sound. And later I will do some videos that I will show you, especially the most common modes that we use on the guitar. So let's get another example. We have the idea that the D Dorian, right, is the second degree of C major. The Dorian is the second degree for any key, but in this case we are thinking as C to make it easier. So we have D, the second degree will be a D minor, and this chord is a Dorian, okay? How we get the sound of the Dorian? If I play the scale starting on D, okay? But I just play D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. This, if I play over a C major chord, it's C major yet. I don't have the feeling of the mode yet. So what I need to do is actually get the main chord that I have instead of a C. Now my main chord is D minor, okay? So if I make my D minor, now if I have this chord and I play the scale, and doesn't matter, I can start on D, okay, to get the feeling of the Dorian. However, I can start even on C. So what I'm gonna do, I will play C major scale, okay. Now I will get a D minor chord, I will play over it the C major scale, this C major basic scale, okay, over the D, and then you get the feeling of the Dorian mode because they have the same notes, but my main chord now is the D minor. And notice that now that I'm playing this scale here, playing the C major scale over the D minor chord, I get the different sound, I get the Dorian sound, and usually when I finish on the C, the C, instead of have like the tonic function, now doesn't have any more this function, so usually it's gonna ask me to come back to D. So it's C major. Alright, basically it will work. So if you play all the patterns of C major over a D minor, you can have the sound of the Dorian mode. Alright, and if you get the C major chord, but then you play the second degree, think about as Dorian, you won't get the Dorian sound because your main chord is C. So then you're gonna have just a C major scale starting on the D. When you're thinking about modes, scales, you have the scales, but think about all the harmony that you have behind it. The chords you make, the sound that you want, the mode that you want. Another thing, then later when you start to do the videos about the modes, you can have some chord progressions that are common on the modes as well. So for example, Dorian is very common. We have 1 and 3 and 4, all right? You have the 1 here, D minor, and the 4th degree major, which is G7. 1 minor and 4 major. That's very common. And also, you can just play the C major scale over these two chords. It's gonna sound the Dorian mode, but instead of you finish on C, you start to aim the notes characteristic from that mode. For example, D, or you're gonna get the B, which is the major 60, just to get the sound of the mode. This is the main thing. So this video is just for you to understand a little bit more the modes, to get in mind that the chords and the harmony is the most important thing when you talk about modes. It's very confusing, and if you learn the modes, think about box. Every box of the scale you have a mode. Try to forget about it and think about the chords that you have. Instead you think about the 3rd degree of the major scale as a Phrygian, you can get the chord, look at the chord that you have on the 3rd degree. For example, if you're playing C, it's E, and try to play the C major scale over just E minor, and then you start to get the feeling of the modes. Alright? I will improvise a little bit over D minor Dorian. All these scales, I will put the patterns for you to visualize. It's just C major scale, but my main goal will be D Dorian, okay? But compare the Dorian modes that you have throughout the fretboard with the C major scale, you see that this is the same scale, okay? So I will improvise now for you to visualize, and if this video helped you, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like. If you want to support the channel, just subscribe, ring the bell, don't miss the lessons that I'm posting every week, and get your guitar, have fun practicing. Thanks for watching, see you next time.